So before I introduce the morning session, the next set of speakers, I thought I would say just a few simple words. As a scientist, I like to look at this from a logical point of view, and I'm going to present to you some what I consider facts. Perhaps if you disagree with any of this, we can discuss it later. But I think it stands to logic that a nation outside its country will not survive. Now, if you question this, I'm sure you don't. Each of you just has to look in their own families and see how much Armenianness is being preserved as the generations go by. But just a couple of statistics among many others that one can give. You know that the mixed marriages in Toronto right now are at 70%. Mixed marriages in Istanbul, Armenians marrying Turks, are 50%. So I think it stands to reason that the nation outside its country will not survive. The second one is even more logical and simple. A country without its people will not survive. You know that we're surrounded by Azerbaijan and other countries, and you know that Azerbaijan has a claim, an official claim on the south of Armenia. Not only that, of course, Karabakh, but they also have an official claim on Yerevan. They consider it a khanat of something like that. Our population during the last years of the Soviet Union was 3-point-something million. The real numbers now are 2-point-something million. Last year, we lost 100,000 people to emigration. That's about 0.5% of the population. How many more 0.5% can we afford before we can no longer defend our borders? So this is a very, very critical issue, and obviously it's a necessary thing that the people stay on the land. Now, since we logically concluded that it would be best that the people stay on the land, what is the people? The people are composed of families. And what will make a family stay in the country? So when we think about a family, you can just imagine a family with father, mother, and 2 children, and the children are sleeping, and it's late at night, and the father and mother are wide awake looking up at the ceiling and wondering about the future of their family. So these are real people. These are not numbers. These are like you and me. So what would make a father or a mother like that decide to keep his family in the country? Well, if the country had lots of riches, that would be one reason. Secondly, if the country had good governance. Because if you don't have riches, but you have good governance, you know, all of you know, living in a capitalistic society, that one creates by ingenuity, by creativity, by hard work, all these Armenian qualities that we have, we can create riches well beyond anything material that exists in the ground. But for that, we must have good governance. If you have a factory or a company, you will not accept to have a bad director or a bad manager. You must have a good manager, a good director, in order to have a good running organization. And the third one is, if this family, these parents sitting in their bed staring at the ceiling, if we have a sense of unity and common purpose, if these families, these heads of families know that all their neighbors, everybody or most people in the group, in the community, are there with the same dream of building this country we've all dreamed about, that would help everybody stay versus the opposites. So let us see, do we have these important elements to keep that family in the country? Riches. We don't have much riches. But even if we did have riches, those are not things that we can change. The riches, you either have oil or you don't have oil. You either have this or you don't have that. Today, we're here to figure out what can we change to improve things. We're not going to change whether we have oil in the ground or not. Good governance. Do we have that? We don't have that. We have an oligarchic system. The entire country, pretty much, more or less, belongs to about 50 families. you don't need to be a world Nobel-winning economist to figure out that an oligarchic system is not good. Daron Acemoglu, all the great economists clearly say you cannot have a country with an oligarchic system. It is doomed to fail. So do we have good governance? We don't. We have an oligarchic system. This must be replaced by a democratic system, a proper country. Do we have sense of unity and common purpose? When you're a group and the head of the group is not interested in the group, is only interested in enriching themselves, then that completely shatters the sense of unity and common purpose. How can we have a common purpose of building Armenia when the leadership of the country, that small oligarchic elite, is not interested in being part of the group? If the leadership is intent on enriching themselves at the expense of the rest, how can that family staring at the ceiling decide that there's a common purpose and I will stay in the country? So we don't have that either. Okay, so we've lost all three crucial elements of what we need for that family to decide to stay in the country. So what will they do? They will leave the country, right? So what are we left with? Do you see anything on that screen? We're left with nothing. You see how essential this issue is. So if the people leave the country, we will have a country without its people. Now, you might say, no, maybe the family loves their country so much that they will stay for that reason alone. I accept that there are people who will love their country so much as to sacrifice themselves. But I venture to say there are very few people who will sacrifice their family's future for the country. If you want proof of this, look at me, look at all of you. You all love the country, but you're not there. You're here in increasing numbers. So the reality is that we will not have that. And as for the diaspora, as I've said many times to friends, diaspora is where the Armenian nation goes to die as an Armenian nation. And so we don't have that. And again, logic and facts bring us to the fact that unless we do something about this, we will end up with nothing. We are on the road of self-annihilation. Our grandparents did not survive the genocide for this. We can do better than this. We did not survive being massacred, bludgeoned to death by horrible monsters to let a bunch of crooks lead to our annihilation. We do not want to replace the red genocide with a white genocide. So I think that we need to do something about it, and I think logic shows that this must start by proper governance of the country.